everything else prompted rethinking on this, and now we are looking at circular economy. The two things are, one is environmental issues, and secondly, depletion of important resources, valuable resources. Now in Bangladesh, I must say that when Army League took over power in 1996, for the first time we have seen the government integrating climate change issues with the mainstream economic planning. And that has given a tremendous boost towards the environmental consciousness and policies. And we have seen a lot of progress since then, both at government levels and corporate levels, in terms of looking at environment, conscious about environmental issues. Now, as far as I can see, we go back to the 80s, and I think many of the business people here are from old Dhaka, because I've been president of the Federation about 23 years ago. Thulaikal was an area in Dhaka where we saw first development of recycling business. And it was informal. They sprang up like mushrooms, basically family level. Gradually they sort of spread out. And then some of them graduated today to become machine manufacturers. And we in the Federation recognized them in the late 80s and early 90s. And we worked with them on two areas where they were facing problems. One is they had no legal recognition. Secondly, they were not recognized by the banks as viable sort of candidates for finance. So these two issues are very important. Now, if you consider that today Bangladesh, apart from the RMG sector and a few other very limited sectors, we do not have a big industrial base. No, so scale is a matter of profitability and sustainability. So that's one issue. And secondly, banks. They are not very shy in going to non-traditional business. They want to be secure. They want to be safe. So that is a big factor. I think finance is a very important issue. And we negotiated with the banks. We acted as a middleman. And a lot of the companies, as I said, that came up as a mushroom companies, small family-sized companies, today have graduated into a good level of good-sized companies. So that's something. And I think what's very important today is the Federation, if I may say so as past president, should have a strong follow-up action plan if they want to succeed in this field. We need to have together the practitioners, the business people, we need the government policy makers, the ministries and agencies, and we need the financing companies. So unless we coordinate all those, it's very difficult really to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is special guest, Ms. Zuena Aziz, Principal Coordinator, Sustainable Development Goals, Prime Minister's Office. Madam, over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Guest, today's session, Honorable Chair, Honorable Special Guest, keynote speakers, and panelists and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to thank the FBCCI Authority for inviting me in Bangladesh Business Summit 2023, which is celebrating the 50 years of its establishment. The government of Bangladesh, under the visionary and dynamic leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, is committed to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. The main targets of the Prime Minister's development agenda is the people, and so is the SDGs. We have incorporated the framework provided in the SDGs into our own development agenda to address the challenges of social inclusion, economic development, and environmental protection. The government recognizes that the private sector is the prime growth engine for Bangladesh and key to achieving the SDGs both with financial resources and their expertise. Hence, the government has been working to better engage the private sector to address development challenges through market-driven solutions to achieve the SDGs. A special commitment of ensuring sustainable and inclusive development of a prosperous Bangladesh will require establishing a responsible business environment with continued commitment to promoting clean, green, and ethical supply chain. It will help achieving many interlinked goals of Agenda 2030. As Bangladesh prepares for the next growth phase and aspires to be the leader in sustainable manufacturing, the RMG industry in Bangladesh realigned its vision with global ESG priorities and committed to putting utmost importance on building a sustainable industry by 2030. It is heartening to inform you that the BGMEA has made a strong piece towards the goal of achieving 50% of the sustainable material mix by 2030, which is at the core of the Sustainability Strategic Vision 2030. In relation to SDG 12, Sustainable Consumption and Production. The BGMEA has already developed a cross-sectoral platform called Circular Fashion Partnership and has successfully created a certain level of readiness throughout the industry to approach the next stage. With the support from UNIDO, they are working on establishing a more circular manufacturing process within the textile and RMG industry of Bangladesh. They are also conducting groundbreaking researches to understand and explore the opportunity and challenges of the Bangladesh apparel industry in adapting circular business from a global value chain perspective. As Bangladesh is set to graduate from the LDC category in 2026, the country is committed to pursuing a path of sustainable development that respects people and the environment in the line with the UN guiding principles on business and human rights. The concept of sustainable green business in Bangladesh involves incorporating environment-friendly practice into all aspects of the business, including sourcing, manufacturing, packaging, distributing, and waste management. We have developed the Bangladesh Climate Change Strategy and Action Plan and taken various steps toward a just transition to zero carbon economy. Companies can source raw materials from sustainable sources, reduce their energy consumption through energy efficient practices, and use recyclable or biodegradable material in packaging. In addition to environmental benefits, sustainable green business can also provide economic benefits such as reducing costs to increasing energy efficiency, improving the company reputation and brand image, and attracting customers who prioritize sustainability. Bangladesh, like many developing countries, faces unique challenges when it comes to establishing and operating green business. Despite the challenges, green business have a critical role to play in promoting sustainability and mitigating the impacts of climate change. With the right support and investment, green business have the potential to play a significant role in promoting sustainability and economic development in Bangladesh. To achieve sustainable green business, we may need to implement various initiatives such as setting sustainability goals and targets, conducting environmental impact assessment, implementing environment-friendly practice, engaging with the stakeholders, measuring and reporting on environmental performance. Let me conclude by saying that we want to be optimistic. Bangladesh has recently become the country that accommodates half of the world's top 10 LEED certified green industries units. As the local entrepreneurs have been investing in environment-friendly manufacturing factories, green factories are said to help cut down energy use by 40% and water consumption by more than 30%, and also emit less carbon dioxide with further ensure environmental safety. Let us work in alliance following the whole of the society approach to fulfill the dream of our father of the nation and to be a developed country by 2041, which is envisioned by our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Thanks everyone. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu, Bangladesh Chirojibho.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will hear from special guest who holds important ministry, Ms. Dr. Farhina Ahmed, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Madam, over to you.
This is the month of March, a proud chapter for the nation. So at the very outset, I would like to express my deepest tribute to the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, for his contribution and giving us the identity of a sovereign nation and the proud citizen of making a better Bangladesh, exploitation-free Bangladesh, prosperous Bangladesh and golden Bangladesh. As Secretary, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, I have come here to learn and to know and to be aware of what is going around, especially in the private sector, about their thinking of green investment and sustainability to develop a circular economy. So it is, I would like to say that it's a part of circularity practice. I would like to learn from the audience, from the keynote presentation, and then conceive the ideas and understanding to develop new policies, to move towards new policies, and to deliver for the business and the private sector and the country as a whole. So this is part of circular practice. I would like to thank FVCCI for organizing this important and timely event, because it's very important to discuss among all the private sectors and business what the whole world is thinking about sustainability and green investment would also have the proper idea. So in-house exercise and discussion is very important in this time. I would like to say thank you to our chief guest for coming here, because he is not only a policymaker, a political leader, also a strong environmentalist, and he is guiding us as Honorable Chair of the Parliamentary Standing Committee for the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. I think your presence and your speech will be highly beneficial for the gathering. Thank you, special guest, and also learned panelists and distinguished participants. It is enlightening for me to be here with you all. special thanks to the presenter, keynote presentation. I'm very happy to see Beximco's presentation, and I'm very curious to visit Beximco's achievement that it is going to achieve zero emission and zero carbon emission and zero pollution by next year. So it can be an instance for all the private sector. We can recognize and set standards. We can encourage other industries and private sectors. So that is very encouraging for me. And also the second keynote presenter for bringing all the comprehensive thoughts about circular economy, because it is very important to understand the underpinning philosophy, not only the waste and the partial and segmented part of circular economy. So thank you, keynote presenter, for bringing all the thoughts. And I would like to utter the constitutional promises of the state that has made in the Article 18A that country would ensure and upgrade and protect environment for the existing current generation and also to generations to come. So this is our constitutional commitment. So our ministry is working on the basis to fulfill on the basis of that commitment, and we are having international commitments as well regarding environment, regarding biodiversity protection, and also to fight against climate change adversities. So many priorities we have in front of us. We are a transitional economy. We are moving from impoverished to a developing country, and we have a vision to go by 2041 to catch up to developed economy. And I have seen the boards was presenting the 1 trillion economy. We are aiming for that. So in that context, we have started our journey. We have developed policy frameworks to comply the environmental governance and set a standard for the country. But as all the other panelists and presenters had already mentioned that the task is not very easy. We need to change the mindset of the people. Each and every citizen needs to understand what is their role in the environmental degradation and to improve the scenario, to prevent the climate change, and also to promises and to restore our biodiversity. So we have a very, very large responsibility to educate each and every citizen and make our private sector with the aligned understanding, in line with the state's commitment and also the policy framework. So we need to come in a common and uniform understanding to build up a sustainable world. And also I would like to re-utter the sustainability fundamentals. One is intergenerational equity, the other is intragenerational equity, and also the transboundary equity. Business and capital market, they all know the capital and money. The role of state to create boundaries whether these money and fund cannot violate others' right, cannot hamper others' right. So we are here on behalf of the state. We are working to set the boundaries and standards, how to behave while doing business, while acting as a private actor, while be a proud and loyal citizen of the country. So this is the understanding. So the government and all the actors and citizens, they have specific certain roles to build a sustainable society, to ensure the intra and intergenerational equity. And we know the resources are limited. We need to be very wise while using that resources. We have a very scarce land. We have fiscal space is also limited. We have our national adaptation plan. We need $230 billion to implement that plan. We do not have enough money. So we need support from private sector. We need fund from international community as well. So fund is also limited, resources are limited. So how can we use wisely that limited resources to have the optimum and the best outcome for the country? That is very important. And as a Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate, you understand that everybody thinks that the circular economy task, waste management task is entrusted with this ministry, but actually not. We have enacted Environmental Conservation Act. Under that act, we have developed rules, solid waste management rules, e-waste management rules, and also we are developing another rule or guideline that is expanded producer's responsibility to create a circular economy that we have mentioned in our 8th five-year plan, also in our policy, other frameworks like ADB, Annual Development Program, and other documents. We have made promises that we will develop and work on our circular economy. So we have prepared those rules. But in reality, local government division, Ministry of Industries, financial institutions divisions, finance divisions, those are actually very closely associated with that responsibilities. So it could be better if we could bring FID colleagues, Minister of Industries colleagues, and also Minister of Commerce colleagues on the same platform, because our ministry have a challenge to fight with internal, home environment among the ministries, and also with our private stakeholders, and also with international communities and citizens. So it would be better if we can bring all the stakeholders, especially the important stakeholders like Minister of Industries, financial institution divisions. I would like to mention one of our audience mentioned that how to deal with SMEs to make them environmentally sustainable and to be compliant with the environmental standard. So for that, I would like to respond that we have a dialogue with Bangladesh Bank Governor, and he made a promise that there is a sustainability department in Bangladesh Bank. They will earmark some of the funds, allocated funds for SMEs, and they will instruct FID. And they have a dedicated department, SME Foundation under FID. They will work together to develop some modalities, how to support, and allocate a certain level of amount for their support, like EatCall is doing for the greenification, green investment. And also we have another project is coming with World Bank support that is best. So we are looking forward with that project. We'll work on addressing brown agenda, the pollution agenda, with a very strong motivation, and it will help us, the project will help us to develop the capacity of our Department of Environment and also the ministry. So with that enhanced capacity, we hope that we'll better serve to the country. So once again, I would like to thank and the information and the understanding I have gathered from this gathering, that will definitely helpful for our next work, and it will provoke us to do and update new policy actions, and also to create some more activities to how to make our waste management and the circular economy work more effective and can be more fruitful. With that note, I would conclude, and thank you again for inviting me and giving me opportunity to speak before you and to learn about the situation of circular economy. Thank you very much. Joy Bangla, Bangladesh Chirojibi Ho.
Thank you very much, Dr. Farhina Ahmed, Secretary, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Now, ladies and gentlemen, time to hear from our chief guest, Mr. Sabir Hossain Chowdhury, Member of Parliament, former President of Inter-Parliamentary Union. Sir, over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me first acknowledge the presence of the distinguished panelists and of course the two keynote presenters for the excellent presentations. And I thank FBCCI. I saw the president a while back. He is probably very busy here to pop out for organizing this event, and that too in the month of March. Can we please keep the noise down? Jara bhai pichane achen ekটু দয়া করে শুনেন। ধন্যবাদ। So I was saying that I would like to thank FBCCI in particular for organizing this in the month of March. As we just heard from our Environment Secretary, this is the month when Bangladesh achieved independence. And we have had a lot of celebrations as we celebrated 50 years of our achieving independence. So this is a very appropriate time to look forward to the next 50 years. So what will Bangladesh look like in the next 50 years? What is our vision? To what extent are we going to realize the aspirations of our war of independence and the freedom struggle and the vision of our father of the nation? And the reason why I mention it is because how we respond to this issue of circular economy will to a large extent determine what Bangladesh will look like in the next 50 years. So this is, to me at least, a very, very important issue. And when we have a business summit around it, when we have potential investors from other countries coming, investors want to have certainty. Investors want to have continuity of policy. Investors want to know what is the political agenda of the government, what is the ownership of the government, what is the commitment of the government. These are all critical issues for investors, because investors have a choice. They can invest in Bangladesh, they can invest in India, they can invest in other countries. So why will someone choose Bangladesh? And I'm trying to frame my discussions accordingly. Rather than going into the challenges that we have, I will try to just share a few perspectives from the investor's point of view. So when we talk about the environment agenda in Bangladesh or the circular economy agenda in Bangladesh, there is strong political support. There is strong government support for this. And why is it that we have this support? Let me share a few imperatives, and I'll start with the global and then I'll come to the national. We know that the current models of consumption and production are simply not sustainable. That is why we have the Sustainable Development Goals. If they were working, we wouldn't have to rethink development, but we are having to rethink development. And one of the resolutions that we took in the Parliament of Bangladesh is on a planetary emergency. And one of the components of planetary emergency is this whole concept of planetary overshoot. So the resources that we have in the world and in Bangladesh that we are supposed to use over a year, we are using in 8 months. In the future, it's going to be 7 months. Then it will be 6 months. So we need not one, but 2 planet Earths to satisfy our resource requirement. That's where the logic and the imperative of a circular economy comes in. Mr. Musharraf, when he was making his presentation, there was one slide in particular that caught my attention. He was asking the question, or rather he was framing the issue as challenge and opportunity. I think it is both, but the important thing is it is an imperative. It is something we must do. It is an opportunity we have to seize and a challenge that we have to scale. So that is how we look at it. And in the context of Bangladesh, what are our challenges? Climate change, biodiversity loss, waste, air pollution. These are all issues that can be addressed by embracing a circular economy, by making this transition. We also have other reasons. Bangladesh is going to graduate from the ranks of the LDCs, and our businesses have to be competitive. So where will that competitive edge come from? One aspect which has not been perhaps highlighted enough, other than in the Bexco presentation, is that a circular economy is not just good for the environment, it is good for business. People make money out of it. So you have the best of both worlds. You are looking after the planet and you are making money in the process. Yes, we saw from the Bexco presentation that they talk about planet, that they talk about people. And they also mentioned profit. If the transition was not profitable, Beximco would not be doing the government support. Make no there are absolutely no doubts on that. If we can really alight the notion of a circular economy among this segment, then it is also going to enable us to integrate the informal economy and mainstream it into our central economy. So that's another huge advantage. And last but not least, the cost of environmental degradation in Bangladesh. The cost. We are growing at 6%, 7%. There was a study from the World Bank back in 1996 which talked about the environmental degradation cost to be 5% of our GDP. And I'm sure it's a lot more now. So if it is going to be, for say, 7% or 8%, and we are growing at 6%, that's -2, -2. We are not actually growing. So for Bangladesh to grow, we must embrace circular economy. This is the trajectory that we have to go on. And this, I think, is the most important part. Because whether it is our competitiveness, whether it is going along the path of the growth trajectory that we have, $1 trillion economy, yes, but what will be the cost to the environment? That is what we have to think about. And this is a unique club. You know, I believe Netherlands, and Charles, you'll be able to say this better, Netherlands was probably the last country to become a member of the $1 trillion club in terms of size of economy. So Bangladesh is going to go there. And the more we grow, the more resource pressure we are going to be under. So this is an absolute imperative for us to get into. And rather than make a long speech, so the message that I have for the investors, and I think someone from the panel from H&M mentioned that we are sitting on a golden opportunity. This is the time when we can actually leapfrog. We don't have to go the path of other countries. It's been a difficult path for them, but we can partake their knowledge. We can jump, we can leapfrog and embrace the latest in technology. That's what we need. When we are looking at foreign partners, we need technology. We need investment, we need know-how. And the market is there waiting to be explored. Of course, we have the regulatory framework, the investment framework. How do we make investment much more attractive? How do we improve on the ease of business? These are all going to be very, very important issues. But I think what we are looking for is partnerships. Bangladesh is looking for partnerships with the global community, and you bring your good practices to Bangladesh. They won't necessarily be best practices, but if we fine-tune it in the context of Bangladesh, a good practice will become a best practice. And that's really what we are looking for. And I remember, and this is one of my parting thoughts for you, many years ago I was born in the port city of Chattogram, and the airport terminal was very small. I think it was only about this big. There were only a few waiting chairs. And there was one poster. It was from our tourism corporation that I often looked at. And this was of a lady in sari, very elegant, standing on the beach in Cox's Bazar, and the waves are coming in. And the slogan in the poster was, "Visit Bangladesh before the tourists come." I say to you as investors, visit Bangladesh, not just visit, invest in Bangladesh before the other investors come. And that investment should be in the circular economy. FBCCI President, if he was here, I would have told him that one of the things we would like to do is at the Ministry of Environment, we have the Secretary here, along with the FBCCI. We have a former President of the FBCCI, a colleague of mine in the Parliament, development partners. Let us sit down and make a roadmap. Let us identify the opportunities for investment, and then let us go forward. We wish you excellent stay in Bangladesh. I hope you'll get time out and visit the rest of the country. Dhaka is not Bangladesh, so you need to visit rural Bangladesh as well. Be well and safe. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu, Chirujbhot Bangladesh.
Ladies and gentlemen, now crest giving session. For crest giving, I'd like to call on stage Ms. Hasina, Director, FBCCI, Mr. Hafiz Harun, Director, FBCCI. Please come to the stage.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Guest, for your nice deliberation. Now, we'd like to
First
for
of
vote
all,
of thanks.
I would like to show my gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this event, and then to a BCCI for arranging wholesome event. I would like to thank all our respected speakers who have presented their unique idea on green investments in Bangladesh. To achieve sustainable growth, I would like to thank our media for supporting us throughout the event, and then last but not the least of our fellow audience who have passionately been a part of this event. I pray and hope that Bangladesh achieve Glebator success as domestic green finance to achieve sustainable growth in the near future. Thank you all.
Next, Mr. Hafiz Harun, Director ABCCI, will present crest to our special guest, Dr. Farhina Ahmed, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Next, Ms. Hasina, Director of BCCI, will present the crest to the guest of honor, Mr. Yusuf Abdullah Harun, MP, former President of BCCI Chairman, Asia Insurance Limited. Ms. Zuena Aziz, former Principal Coordinator, Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, Prime Minister's Office. Ms. Hasina Nawaz, Director of BCCI, will present crest Then crest will be presented to His Excellency Charles Whiteley, Ambassador and Head of Delegation of the European Union to Bangladesh. Then Faisal Rabbi, Stakeholder and Public Affairs Manager, H&M, Bangladesh. Ms. Ewan Ellison, Senior Environment Specialist, Environment, Natural Resources and Blue Economy Global Practice, ENB, she was also given the crest. Ms. Shamima Akhtar, Director, Corporate Affairs, Partnerships and Communication, Unilever, Bangladesh, she will be given the crest. Then Ms. Shamim Ahmed, President, Bangladesh Plastic Goods Manufacturers and Exporters Association, BPGME. Crests are given to Dr. Muhammad Mushraf Hussain, Institute of Forestry and Environmental Science, University of Chittagong. Crest will also be given to Mr. Syed Navid Hussain, Group Director and CEO of Bangladesh Export Import Company Limited, Beximco. Dr. Zakir Zaman, Country Representative, UNIDO. Now, quickly, we'll have a photo session. Now, a group session. Guests and panelists all requested to come forward. Quick photo session by the photographers will be done now. With the photo session, our session will be ended and our next session will start. I request everyone for the next session to be ready. Now, next session will be started. Our next session is on pharmaceuticals and healthcare. We'll arrange the stage for the next session. I request to arrange the stage for the next session.
Come over sometime.
I'd like to request the organizer to